Hey, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. I was not planning to do this today. Well, let me correct that. I don't often these days have plans. However, even within that framework, I did not necessarily plan on having this today, but it all came together rather fast. If you missed the stream yesterday, somebody towards the end of the stream pointed me in the direction of this tool called the Auger. I checked it out, checked out the page on itch, looked pretty cool. Found some contact information for the folks behind it. I reached out to them and they were kind enough to, I guess, give me a key. Or the way it's set up is it's a web application, and you log in. There's some kind of free tier, and then I guess you could unlock tiers. So they were kind enough to unlocks the fantasy, I guess, and sci-fi. I guess maybe tiers is the right word. Modules, packages. So I'm all straightened out. Now that's as far as I got, was getting that part. So what you're looking at here is basically what you would see when you first open the app. I have no idea what I'm doing. Maybe this is really just me feeling it out, kind of trying out features. So this will not be some kind of in-depth tutorial about how to do that. Maybe I will get knowledgeable enough in the system down the line to be able to do something useful. But this is really something I always appreciated. I want to say Giant Bomb was one of the first ones to do with video games, was kind of just get you in the game and just let you watch people playing it, with all the good and bad that comes with what might be your first experience or second experience. So this is kind of what that is I'm really just here with you. You can see me fumble about, and we can kind of discover it together, and then I can come back and do more in-depth stuff later. But I just really wanted to get into it since everything came together so quickly. I just thought, well, why not strike while the iron is hot? Or the iron sworn is hot, if you will. Hey, Michael Fraker. So this is, I think, it may be, because I opened this up. Well, let's see. I think you might just start and just get this blank screen, which can be very overwhelming in the way a blank page is overwhelming. We have some stuff down here. So I guess we get the interface. So we have this grid, which we will presumably be putting stuff in the grid. There are, I know for a fact from looking at the itch page that we've got, you can do overhead maps, sort of interior maps. You can do square grid kind of outdoor maps. You can also do hex outdoor maps. I'm probably going to try to do a hex map, and I think it's going to have some tools, but we'll have to figure out how to get there. So one of these, so this is the game browser. It's got a built-in support for Ironsworn and Starforged. Not really super familiar with Ironsworn. It also has got some AI stuff, of course, like everything seems to these days has an AI component. I think we get a certain amount of credits. I do have an open AI key. I think I could put my key in there, but I'm not really going to mess around with the AI stuff at the moment. A codex, user library, truths, tables, equipment. So all the stuff that we can fill in essentially. I presume if I open up characters, I don't think there should be anything. There's not. I'm not going to add one in quite yet. What is the difference between that? Is that okay? So those are just arrows that go both ways. And I guess we can bring this interface up. Oh no, okay, I'm already full screen. Okay, all right. So let's close that. So this is also what is the shortcuts for, I guess, characters. What's this? Okay, hold on. New vehicle. Interesting. This doesn't have a highlight. This is a new vehicle, character list, map settings, game settings browser. So that's the quick menu. So if we exit out of here, we go to game settings. This is just, I think, organizing stuff. So we're right now at first game. We could rename it, but I'm not going to right now. I guess presumably everything we create will be in that first game. Should we go through the quick start? All right, yeah, I guess we'll do. So we have a quick start, a tutorial almost of sorts. So let's just go through it and we can see what we get. So we'll select a rule set. I'll go with system agnostic for the moment. You can change the rule set anytime. Great. Check. Select the UI theme. We're going to go fantasy. Check. Select modules. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we could presumably create our own modules. Maybe at some point there'll be some unofficial or third-party modules. Not sure, but that's fine. I'm not going to change any of that. Create a character. I don't need to create a character right now. Pick truths. Oh, interesting. So what are these? What's the old world? Okay. So we could pick some truths. I'm going to, so we can do pre-made truths. I'm not sure what to do with truths right yet. Are they secrets? Oh, okay. Michael Frager says that's an Iron Sworn or Starforce thing. Okay, so I'm going to skip truths. Aha. And Michael Frager says they're very cool games, excellent for DM lists. I have heard of Iron Sworn. I haven't heard of Starforged. But I've heard good things about it. And I think they're related. Are they the same people? Am I misremembering? Okay, now let's get to the maps. Here we will create the main map or location for your game. Select one of the following options below. Text is a little bit small. So we have the hex map. We could procedural generate. We have a Starscape map. Probably do this another time because I do like sci-fi stuff, even though I don't tend to cover a bunch of sci-fi stuff. I do like sci-fi. So I'll save this for another, maybe part 2. And then we can use an image that we can do from the Auger our own. But hey, what's the fun of that? And then we can make a blank map. Let's start with the hex map. You know. All right. So we've got, I wonder if we can customize the icons. But this does remind me of sort of, I don't know, like, I don't want to say early, but sort of JRPG kind of games. Okay. We've got ourselves a random preview. I'm just going to see how many hexes are these. Like, should I count? Which way do I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 9. 9 hexes by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 9 by 9. Okay, so 9 hexes. And this is at map size 4. I don't know why this makes 4. I'm not sure what is it 4 because of the top. No, that would be 5. I don't know. I don't know how I get 4. So maybe it's just an arbitrary number. So we can make this bigger. And then it's going to fill in some more. 8. Fill in way more. We go all the way to sizes larger than 8 might affect performance. That's okay. We get a big chunk. All right, so let's drop it down. I think my computer should be pretty good for this, but I'll keep it at 6 for now. Or we could go smaller. Maybe we should go smaller. Is there a 2? 2 is like wicked small. But that might even be okay to start. Maybe 4. Here's where I'm going to start dithering around. 4 seems pretty big. Okay, now we have our biome. So we can pick our size. Yeah, we'll go with 2. Because I think if we go through and kind of fill some stuff out, I don't need to fill 2. Right? We're doing minimal. We're trying to do minimal prep here, right? So I don't need so much. So we have some of our biomes. So let's just scroll all the way down here. So frozen, I presume it's gonna be all ice. Oh no, it's not. So we have some maybe taiga, tundra. Are these hills? Ice. And the tiles are nice. Tiles are nice. I look, just for me personally, I would love an option, even though it's not pretty, to have just the old map symbols, but very pretty. So you have some forest. We've got, I don't know, ice flows, or maybe I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a meaningful as opposed to these where it's more open water, but we have, which would I guess be snow, and then maybe that's more glacial or rocky, and then we have hills, and we got some woods, and we got some kind of water. So that's frozen. We get tundra. And now notice the other thing too is, see, I'm on the same key here, right? So everything is, which I think I can appreciate, is we're getting the same kind of thing. So if you get for example, if we happen to really like this configuration, we can move through the biomes and it's going to adjust it, but it's going to keep these things the same. So we should tend to see that these forests should change and some of these things should change, but in a broader sense, they're going to kind of stay. So let's verify this. We go to tundra. See, we have still kind of hills or mountains, but now it's changed, but we're getting the same thing. We can go from tundra to boreal. So I guess it's kind of a northern forest or northern climes, but obviously, or maybe not northern, it's not the right word, but just subarctic. Hey, Ian, we do be augering. We be augering indeed. There we get temperate, jungle, savanna. Interesting, the order. So they have a savanna that seems very almost deserty, which is not what I picture with savanna, but that's okay. So then we get real desert. Ooh, I like that kind of buttes. Maybe some, and notice it filled in some of the water because it's a desert. Wasteland. Ooh, some kind of swampy stuff and a whole bunch of dead. Volcanic. So we get lava instead of water, and there's obviously no trees. And then tainted. Woohoo! So we get like neon landscape. So let's scroll back. Let's go with, how about temperate? Now I'm going to hit the seed. See what other kind of things we get. Mountains. Is there anything we like? I kind of like that. Was that a river? Is this? Oh, let me see if I can get a river again. No rivers. Oh, wait a minute. Is that a river or is that swamp, you think? This might be swamp or wetlands. I'm going to call that wetlands. Let's see if we can get... And I'm assuming we could come in here and switch it up. Change it up. I don't know if these... One thing I'm not sure of. So a couple of things. Maybe it's just up to us to do. Oh, this is a good one. All right, I'll stick with this one. Okay, so we have our preview. That's just a preview. So we're going to hit check. Oh, interesting. Well, let's see here. What do we want to do? Culture theme. Well, it's doing some stuff. So we got, what the heck is those? Are those? All right, so let's random culture. Let's do, okay, so we really have human fantasy. And that gives us one dungeon, which we asked for, and one settlement. Can I move these? Let's see. If I regenerate, that's just moving them around. Regenerate. I will take this and let's see. What should we call this place? Copy text, apply changes, cancel edit. Oh, I don't know. I'll just call it Highlands. Whatever. Okay, so there we've got... Do we want more? How many dungeons can I have? Can I have 3? So which one? So one thing I'm already... So I guess this looks kind of ruined. Might be ruined. I don't know. They don't really speak as ruined to me, but let's... I'm tempted just to hit the OK button because I feel like I can then place these myself a little bit more than I want. That one definitely looks like a ruin. Let's just give it a couple more just to see. I kind of want the ruins to be more ruined looking to my eyes. Maybe I can replace some of these. I wonder how many different sprites it has. Oh, come on. I don't know which of these are supposed to be. All right, let's try this one. I'm guessing that's the settlement, and these are 3 dungeons. All right, let's just do this. Let's hit that. Okay, Salt Marsh, Sunken Ruins. Okay, can I move this? Ooh, I can. Game tips. You've placed your first object on the map. Press and hold it to grab, then you can move it around and place it somewhere else. Select objects by double tapping or right-clicking. While an object is selected, you can drag it, change its size, orientation, and rotation. On computers, move selected objects by right-clicking on the map. Right-click or tap anywhere on the map to clear selection. All right, cool. So we got some nice text here. Can I close that out? All right, so here we have our map. I'm zooming in. This is, what is this? This is Sunken Ruins. Well, I think, no offense, Sunken Ruins, but I feel like you belong there. And I can flip horizontally. I can rotate. I can resize. Is it just going to put it in the center? So let's see what it says about these Sunken Ruins. Location, the condition is it's intact. Outer appearance, echoes of past events. Inner appearance, dangerously cold or hot. And we have some zones it's given us. And we can make a extended description. Oh, I'll try it. Why not? Let's generate one with ChatGPT since it's here. So our extended description, and I can only assume that they're feeding into ChatGPT something about it. And ChatGPT has returned to us ancient spirits awakened by disturbance, ethereal apparitions that can drain life force. That's creepy. Guardians left to protect the ruins, stone golems or mechanical constructs, undead creatures, skeletons or mummified corpses animated by dark forces. The description. The Sunken Ruins, a sprawling complex of ancient structures hidden deep within a dense forest. Dense forest. We'll have to change that. Okay. I think we can we edit this? Cancel edit? Apply. I'm hoping we can come back and edit it because it's not in a forest. It's in what I'm guessing is some kind of wetlands. Does it say? And the zones, portcullis, features an overturned cart. The peril is there's an alarm bell or horn is triggered. Opportunity, there's some abandoned supplies there. Then the next area is the scroll, or maybe not next, how they're connected together, but we have another area called the scroll archives that feature faded maps. There's a hidden trap among the books, and there's an opportunity here, an old map or letter with useful information, and then a dissection chamber, spilled jars of ink, mysterious gas leakage, and untapped alchemical crystal. I'm guessing these are sort of Iron Swornish things, but they fit very well into kind of stuff that we've been talking about. That kind of, the obvious thing, the sort of site, discovery, secrets. I think you could slot those right in there. Very cool. Also, if you wanted to play this, and I presume this would really be something for solo play, is maybe you don't want to, you want to do it more 5-room dungeon style, where you're sort of abstracting out the physical structure, and you're really just concerned about areas and the features, and this works really well. So there's different areas, they got different features, they've got a danger associated with them, and they have something. I like that term, opportunity. Okay, so what can I do? What is worthwhile in this area for to reward someone exploring it? And then we have notable characters which we can add ourselves. Ooh, and I guess there's a map. Let's stay here for right now, and then we'll come back to the map. So that's the Sunken Ruins, which I placed. We have Ancient Ruins that are severely deteriorated. This facade has been stripped, and it's groaning, and the structures are groaning and creaking. Where would this one be? Oh, that's the town. Sun-bleached ruins. I actually want to put this over here. Can I shrink it a little bit? Okay, that's there. Sun-bleached ruins. Where would the sun-bleached ruins be? Oops. Yeah, maybe let's put them over here. And then Salt Marsh. Maybe I want to change that name. So please, WotC, don't hurt me. I didn't name it Salt Marsh. I swear it wasn't me. It was the app. Don't come after me. Salt marsh makes sense to be in this, I guess, a lake, maybe part of some bigger water feature, but at least there's some kind of lake, swamp on this side, maybe even the sunken ruins. Yeah, I think I'll put them next door. I kind of, just as I'm thinking about this, conceptually, I like the idea that maybe this was the original city. Something happened. Maybe originally it was filled. Maybe there was some catastrophe or some other bad thing that happened that caused this to sink. And then the townsfolk, the survivors of whatever calamity that was, moved over and then founded, new salt marsh. Or salt marsh, and this became old, decrepit salt marsh. And then we have some ruins over here. So what does it say about Salt Marsh? It's a settlement. Prosperity is sufficient. Its population is restless. I guess there's a project. Is that what the town's trying to do, or something we could try to do? It says plant an orchard. There's trouble. Someone has stolen sacred texts. The leader is a warrior who has a curious disposition. Their goals are, over the long term, to forge a legendary weapon imbued with great power. That's interesting. And their task is to liberate a town under a tyrant's rule. Is this town under a tyrant's rule? His name is Tycho Ragan. And then we have another notable character who's also a warrior, who also has a curious disposition, but her goal is long-term is to uncover the secrets of a long-lost fighting technique. And right now what she's trying to do is escort a noble through dangerous lands. And her name is Gavina Elron. Not to be confused with L. Ron Hubbard. No relation. All right. And I can only guess that it's using, I assume, Ironsworn procedures to generate the stuff behind the scenes. Maybe. So we got our 4 locations. I wonder, is there a map of the town? All right, so now we've got all 4 of our locations. 3 interesting ones. I'd love to put roads and things, but I don't know if this is how you do it. Let me see. Drawing toolbar. All right, so we have a few things here. Oracles and moves, dice roller, drawing toolbar, codex, ChatGPT, and then an asset library. What's the asset library? Okay, so we have some stuff here. Avatars, bodies, maps, images, items, equipment, foes, vehicles, icons, hexes, and space. So what hexes do we have? Oh, I see. So I would have to... These are ones I guess I have added. Is there like a built-in library of these or no? Add tags using the plus button. Add theme filters using the plus button. Okay, well, that doesn't help because I don't have any. Icons? Module user library. These are all user library stuff. Okay. And I guess we have 500 megs. Hey, Paul, thanks for becoming a member. Cheers. Can I highlight this? Thank you, Paul. Okay. So these must be all our stuff. Can I view content? Maybe content has some stuff. So planet, settlement templates, ship templates, dungeon templates. All right. Cultures. Moves, assets, truths, utilities, asset importers. Well, what I'm looking for, what I'm wanting to see is maybe I'm in the wrong spot. All right. That was the oracles and moves, something else. I wonder if these are kind of in-game things and these are prep things. I'm not sure, but no, maybe not. I don't know. So we've got the codex, which is what? That's just for entries we can make. ChatGPT. Okay, so we did oracles moves. That's not it. We don't need the dice roller. What does the drawing toolbar give us? Draw a dash line, draw a line, toggle snap to grid, close the toolbar, play mode, change color. Okay, so maybe I want, I guess, just black. I want to draw, what do I want for roads? I guess I'll use a straight line for roads. Oh, I see. That's the grid. I do want to snap to grid. Now, what happens if I go? I see. So you get something like that. Is there an undo? Is there an undo? Because I don't know if I love the line eraser. Okay, or what's that? Close toolbar, play mode. No. All right, so you just kind of interesting that it puts it below the thing you're trying to erase, not on top of, but that's okay because it gets rid of the whole thing. I don't love that for the roads. I could probably do this differently. Maybe if I avoided the forest, which I would want to do anyway. Something like that. I mean, it works. It works. Is it exactly what I want? I'm not sure, but it's definitely usable. I wonder if I tried dash lines. Oops. Oh. It's not working this time. Okay, there we go. It looks like that might be a slightly finicky. I thought before it was a little bit easier. Let's see what dash lines look like. So I can go from here to here, here to here, and then maybe we'll have dash line go there, and then another dash line go out there somewhere. That works too. That works. It's interesting that they don't have something that, well, I guess it's all in your style, right? I think of, let's see, close this toolbar. Not Hex, not Worldographer, but Hexed has tiles with transparencies, and so you could have different terrains, and then you could have a road, and there were these obviously different sprites, or what's the word I'm looking for? Just not vectors, but just rasters of hexes that were roads, but they had transparency applied to them. So they would just have the road part. So then you could take the road part and overlay it on top of these other ones. Now, of course, there were limitations. Like, for example, you couldn't have this road run along in between those hexes, because with Hexed, you'd have to choose some combinations. So there'd be a little bit of there'd be some hex with a road on it that have a little curve like this. So you'd go from here down there, and then you'd put the curve here, and then you kind of do this curve sort of thing. And they had different combinations. So not perfect. How much does this cost? Good question. I know I looked at it yesterday. I think I still have it here. $24.95. And keep in mind, right, one time price. And it seems it has a lot going on. It's not just a map maker. Right now, I'm just fooling around with a map maker, but it seems like this is an entire. My thought is that this app could basically be your entire game management. I don't know if it can do full VTT. In other words, if you can have other people log in to your instance, or have some kind of functionality like that where we can all log in together, or whether this would be something that I would have, or you as the GM would have behind the scenes. But it's certainly got all the functionality it seems to, outside of having users connect in directly to it to do everything. So we got external maps. Looking at right now, we can highlight stuff, and let's go to one of these. Let's see. Well, actually, let's go. We'll start with the city. So here and it highlighted this to, generate this to forest, but we could add our own NPCs. We could I think we can add our own kind of rules. Maybe I'll do this. What I'll probably do is, this is just me fooling around. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just kind of discovering it as I go. But I think you can see from my fiddling, you can get a lot done with what it's giving you in terms of the scaffolding and support. It randomly generated. We randomly generated this little area. We randomly generated these towns. I did move them around, and then I drew a road on it. But if I was doing this on my own, this would be faster than the 20 minutes or whatever that's taken, simply because I wouldn't be trying to talk through it and do anything. But we got a town. We have 3 ruins that I put in here. I don't know what this open maps can do. I know it can do internal maps. Does it do some kind of city map? Oh, it is doing some kind of. All right. Whoa, look at that. I wonder. Bam. And so here you go. So this is obviously a time saver. If you are somebody that loves your town settlement maps, it just threw that together for us. These are not clickable, but maybe we could add notes. I'm not sure. Current location, back to main map. That's cool. I presume we could add stuff in here. What does this do? And then we have a location codex. We can add notes to this specific location. That's also very cool. And it looks like we can edit these guys. Remove bond, make ruler, delete character. Oh, cool. So if, as things are changing, we can swap out things. Maybe there's a Gavina Elron stages a little bit of a coup, takes over for Tycho Ragan. We can do that. I wonder if there's a way to literally set up factions, which would be cool. And then we could draw stuff. Though drawing it right now, it's limited to lines and things. I wonder how they got these roads. I guess it's just generating. Maybe it's like Asgard. It's basically generating, but it's a flat image. That might be the one thing maybe in the future, because it would be cool for those of you who are into this. Now, this is not my thing. This, for me, is enough of a map. Probably more than enough. The only thing that I might like on this kind of map is to be able to have essentially maybe it's such a small town, but I would say, can I district it out? Like, what is this? Or is there meaning behind the towns, that the homes that are tan or brown versus the homes that are green? But I think ultimately it'd be very cool if you could click on these and get, people if you needed to, or businesses. Are these businesses and these are non-businesses? But this is absolutely a usable map. You see the main road comes through here, kind of peters out, going to these probably shared farm fields. Really nice. And now we can leave here. We can go back to the main map. So it's zoomed. Bring us in. The other thing to keep in mind, if you're curious, this is all a web app. I have not downloaded anything. It just runs in the browser. I haven't seen anything funky happen, but sometimes funky things happen. And I didn't see something where you could kind of offline download it or do anything like that. So I know I don't know if I have those notifications turned off, but in any sense, you're running in your browser, but you can run it on, I think it's supposed to be basically device agnostic or device compatible. You can bring it up on your phone, you bring it up on your tablet, you can bring it up wherever. It does use a magic link to log in, which I don't necessarily love the magic link. It works fine. But sometimes it's a little bit annoying where you open up the app and it says, I want to send you a magic link. So you have to type in your email and then it sends the link. Then you have to check that email and then click on that link, which then opens up in another window. And then, but it is, I guess the nice thing about it is you don't have to remember any passwords. You don't do anything like that. Even the first time you log in for a free account, just does that same thing. Just says, send me a magic link. You don't have to, I didn't have to go and type in through any kind of registration type stuff. All that is, I didn't show that obviously in this, but so that was the town map. So now I'm guessing, which one of these do we want to check out first? Let's check out actually Sunken Ruins. I don't want to get my hopes up that it's going to show them sunken, but let's see. I can't imagine it would. I feel like that would be too tough to do, but you never know. We got a very cool little map here. I like this very simple, functional style. The only thing, okay, so here's the entrance. Now we have those drawing tools, right? But it doesn't, what does that say? Play mode? What is play mode? I don't know what play mode does. Toggle to show grid. Okay, that just shows that. Snap to grid, close toolbar. I don't know what play mode does. I don't know what play mode does at the moment. Is there some, is there kind of a help thing where I could just see, is that the asset? No, that's asset library. What else do we have? Game browser, no. Game browser, game settings. It's got an old version. Quick start. No, we already did. Nope, that doesn't do it. All right, I wonder, what can we do here? Asset library. These are all mine. Yeah. So we got characters. Oh, I see. No, I need moves. We have assets from Starfire. Oh. I might need to. I don't know if I'm missing something or not in terms of. That's assets and content. I'm not sure. Can I change this library? Did they have a built-in library? Is there something over here? Character list? Vehicles property? No. What's this? New character? Oh, look at that. Well, let's make a new character. Well, let's just do it. I see. So I got that. Appearance, male, fine. Body. Whole bunch of different body types. I don't know. They're all very fit. Is there anybody large that's not just fully muscled up? Blue. All right, I'll go with that guy. Hey, Iron Man. Iron Man says it seems to be a generic fantasy VTT using pre-made or imported map assets. Actually, Iron Man, I believe it's generating. I believe it is generating this on the fly. That it's using some kind. I can try to confirm some stuff because it's not explicitly said, but it seems to be that it actually is generating as you go. So, not pre-made, and not though I believe you can import. I see no reason why you couldn't import this from something like Dungeon Draft or whatever your map making you want. And this is just water for the working man. General says, I also asked if you can make a fat guy. Apparently not. Well, let's see what happens. We got this guy. We don't get a body type. We do get some customization. Oh, we can. Okay, so you got some different armors here. I definitely want to give the guy some clothes. Yeah, commoner pants. Sure. I don't know. How do I can't tell what's. Whoa, there's a lot. Right click. Okay, there we go. So you have to double right click or double click. We've got some commoner shirts. What else have we got? We've got padded tunics. Any helms or hats? Or was I in the... I was in torso and bottom. And then, oh, you can add a little backdrop. There you go. Whoa, he looks... he looks huge. That's kind of funny. Let's see. It's funny that they didn't. I mean, it makes sense because you want to see him big, not the background. But the scale's a bit off on these backgrounds, but it's just a background. That one probably looks good because it doesn't. I think that don't get fooled. Brian asked if this is making a PC. I think it could probably make a PC or NPC, presumably, and you can also add a custom avatar, so you could skip all that and make your own. A new character name. I have a soft spot for naming characters Widdershins, so we'll go ahead and call that. So now we've got him. Does this mean? Oh, we could do more. Well, let's see what else we can do. We could add some personality traits. I'd love if there are some ways to just randomize this stuff. So we've got, let's see, brave. Can we only add one? No, we can. Brave and stubborn. Sure. And we can add bonds. Well, let's go. We'll have to go back to the map. It says you can drag locations in here. So if I, there you go. Look at that. Bam. Well, that's cool. So I guess you probably want to be careful with the dragging and dropping, since you can also accidentally move it around, but just drag that on there. And let's see, maybe I'll have him somehow related to Gavina Elron. Boom. What if I put him that, and can I change that? I see. Change relation. Oh, okay. So he knows everybody. He knows the movers and shakers in the town. He's a mover. He's a shaker. So those are his bonds, which I'm not sure what that is. Send description. Yeah, let's generate with ChatGPT. And like I said, we're not getting any control over the prompt that it's spitting into, that it's sending ChatGPT, which is then spitting out all the stuff. So I presume it's taking these things that we have, right? Maybe it's giving some written. I don't know if it's giving any sort of physical description. I would assume it's taking into account these relationships and bonds that we did. And I didn't give him any equipment though. Oh, that's already what I have. I see. Okay, so we did that. I guess presume we could add more stuff in here, but we don't have. Or maybe we could add equipment and add it in. Arnman says the GM, you prefer bullet point traits versus a paragraph of text. Well, you could do this yourself. I mean, Arnman, this is all this is ChatGPT, right? So you can use it or not use it. You're not forced to enter in that at all. You could go without it, or you could write in your bullet points. I don't know if down the line they'll have a way to add some controls in there, but even if you wanted to do ChatGPT or something similar, but you didn't want this style, you could, go into another browser window, open up your chat bot of choice and write it out. So this is just, to me, it's just bonus stuff. I mean, gosh, even a year ago, 8 months ago, I wouldn't have dreamed that you could just write up any kind of whatever kind of text. So it's all up. Well, I mean, yes, our man says tell ChatGPT to bullet point it. You could probably, I haven't tried it. You could probably do it, but they're automating it for us, right? So they're not giving us access to the prompt. So we don't get to tell it bullet point it instead. I think if you have specific formats that you want and you still want to use AI, some kind of chat AI tool to do it, then your best bet is probably to do it outside the program. Because while it would be nice, I think if they added all kinds of customization features, I think it's probably beyond the scope. Like, this is kind of a nice to have. It's like, hey, you can throw this in here and it'll do something for you, but there's no way that the creators could take into account all the different styles. And then somebody's going to come around and say, well, I like paragraphs. I like a mix of paragraphs and bullets. I like some other thing. It's like, well, okay, at that point, just write it up using it however you like, right? You need not use this tool if you don't want to. You could press a button and do it, or you could not press a button and do it a different way. Michael Fraker says that Bond is from Ironsworn. Okay. And Brian Smith says, I kind of hate having realistic character tokens on these maps where it's just tops of heads and shoulders. I hear you. I don't mind it, though. It kind of reminds me of things like Crusader Kings and Europa Universalis and those kind of games where you get the little portrait of the person. But yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be, and I think it said you can bring in your own avatars and things, so you could probably switch them up if you have a style and you have a bunch of art that you want. And remember, you can customize the system. I'm just not doing that right now. So you can add attributes, you can add skills, you can add trackers, I'm guessing like hit points. So you can go through and customize him even more, which I'm just not doing at the moment. Because it's kind of beyond the scope right now. But maybe I'll come back in. This is just my first fiddling with it. I'll probably come back and see, because my hope for a tool like this is it could fulfill a lot of things that I end up using separate tools for now. So I love Worldographer, but I think the process of creating a map can be a bit fiddly. And sometimes I just want something super simple, and I don't need multiple map sizes and multiple things. I just want something like this. This to me we looked at, I was like last year, I think it was, when we were doing the Gygax 75 challenge and looking at those kind of tools, starting with something really small and simple and just doing it. And that actually is kind of hard to do in Worldographer. The interface, things kind of break down when you try to go with really small numbers of hexes. I find it just, I found some kind of wonkiness with that. This makes it really easy to do that. Also, on the flip side, I like Hexed, but Hexed sometimes can be a little frustrating to use, and I wish it would do things, automate some stuff like layers and things that it doesn't do, and allow you to kind of throw things together and then suddenly realize that things are not on the right layer. And it doesn't have a lot of the GM focused things like Worldographer has, where you can add notes, things like that. But with Worldographer, sometimes it's just too much for what I want, and it can also be a little bit clunky. This seems like could really be a sweet spot for, hey, it's giving me the kind of map that I really want. Sometimes it's great in Worldographer where you can generate whole planets at once and delve in there, and I love it. I love it for that, and I love it for a lot of stuff it does, but I don't need that much. And like I said, I find it breaks down a little bit some of the things when you go small. This one, you can go small. It's got everything kind of automated for you. It can do a lot of the generative stuff for you. And sure, some of the stuff is, like Michael's pointed out a couple times, is very sort of Iron Sworn focused, but that's okay because I don't think these are bad things at all. If anything, they just prompt me to think of stuff. And I'm guessing that I can add in, I could create my own game system that has my own stuff in it. So if I just want you to do something like, I don't know, OD&D or BX, I'm guessing I'll have to experiment more with it, that I'll be able to do that fairly simply. But it gives me, I mean, look, already kind of beyond what I would have looked, what I was kind of thinking I would get was a town map that it generated on the fly for me. Whoops. That's a little bit wonky, I think. And I'd like if it came back at kind of the size I left it in. And then we looked at the Sunken Ruins map, right? We looked at that map. Yeah, right there. Let's open up a couple of these other ones just to take a look at what those maps are like, just to see. So that was the Sunken Ruins. We got the Sun-Bleached. What is this one called? Sun-Bleached Ruins. I didn't do an extended description for. I won't bother with that one quite yet. We have the zones that it gives us, which are great if you want to kind of 5-room dungeon it. We can add characters in here. We want to make, I don't think these all have to be PCs. I think these could also be NPCs, or it seems to be pretty agnostic. Didn't ask me if it was what kind of character it was, anything like that. And then it's generating or loading a map for that. And then we get a map for these. Now, I don't know how it's creating these. I don't know if it is loading it from some asset packs or if it's generating it on the fly. I suppose the only way to know would be, well, I can ask. Maybe there's a blog post somewhere on Itch. They've got an Itch page that I linked to in the show notes, so feel free to go to the Itch page and see if they have some blog posts about it. Are they generating these procedurally? Do they have some vast library of templates that they're piecing together, or how are they putting it together? But in any case, you've got a nice little map here. Is there a secret door here? Because I don't see any door. So maybe that's a secret door, or it's just walled off. I'm not sure, but regardless, got it. We can go back, and then what was that? Was that one? And then we have Ancient Ruins. And let's see what its map is like. Ooh, we got a different color scheme. Maybe it is using some kind of, what do they call it, where you have, not template's not the right word, where it's basically got tiles. So they might have tiles, because I think we saw this already, and then maybe they do the connecting stuff. Not sure how they're making them. But in any case, these are totally usable. Well, this, for whatever reason, all these rooms are very, very square. Very deliberately geometric construction. A slime dungeon. Yeah, maybe. Mayhaps a slime dungeon. But look. Whoops. These are all things that I did not have. And it just gave them to me. Didn't have to open up another app. Didn't have to do it. That some of the Asgards has a lot of stuff like that, but then you have to kind of get it out of there and then load it into something else. Whereas this is all here in the interface. I presume that I could change those out if I wanted to. If I wanted to go into Asgards or some other thing and generate some dungeons, or go into Dungeon Craft and do them, I presume I could just load them in. Our man says they think it'd be a good tool for solo play. I think that's actually Our Man. I believe that's one of the. I don't want to say that's their prime focus, but they're definitely focused off the bat, or the. Let's say I should say the. What's the word I'm looking for? The default assumption seems to be Ironsworn as a rule set, which is for solo play. So I think you thinking about this and going, "Ooh, solo play," I think is exactly what they have in mind, because a lot of this stuff is geared towards the Ironsworn system, which is a solo play, or at least a GM-less system. As Brian Smith says, pretty fun just to have all that in a snap. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And let's see if we can make, well, let's see, I got my guy here. Let's make a vehicle or a property. So I got to hit the plus. New vehicle or property name. Actually, I'll call it The Man's Sinister. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Brian Smith says it just has 0 character. I get why to make it universal, but man, like some dry chicken breast. Well, someone of your caliber, Brian Smith, can add in the character, and I think that's important. We got a whole bunch of ships, but what if I want I said property. What if I don't want a vehicle? I want fantasy. Oh, I don't have any, but I don't want a vehicle. Okay, I'll have to add, I guess I'll have to add some myself. It said property. So I got my hopes up, but sorry, man, Sinister. Oh, I see. Delete. Everything linked. Well, I don't think I'd linked characters to it. Let's just get rid of the location just in case. Okay. Viewing characters, Wittersons. Did I miss something? No, I don't think I did. So it looks like right now that's kind of geared more towards space. We got the character list. We got the map settings. Oh, okay. So this is cool. So we do have a bunch of layers we can add in here. So does that mean, hold on a minute. Does that mean I can plunk him on the map somewhere? Like I could say, oh, Witters. Oh, look at that. Oh, very nice. All right. So I just plunked him on the map. He's huge. I like to shrink him down a bit. That's cool. So now you can see that Wittershins is exploring the woods. Brian says you got to have another app that applies weirdness to the randomly generated stuff. I mean, so here would be my hope. Now, I don't know where this is in its life cycle, design cycle, whatever. I would love, and this is where I think being able to tweak either. And this will, and like I said, I'm just in here for the first time, but some things would like, right? You could add your own art. So you get some weirdness that way. Hopefully you could add in aspects of things, wording that it would then take if you wanted to use ChatGPT and be able to feed into that. Otherwise, you can add in your own assets. Like I think that we're looking at the default assets. And I don't have, if you've known me for any amount of time, you know that I don't use a lot of VTT, so I don't have a bunch. This is not a situation where I could come in and it's like, ooh, I'm already loaded with like 1 billion assets from all these different things that I've done or followed or projects or whatever, and I'm just going to feed them all in here. But you totally could do that, and it's there for you, right? Where is it? It is there for you to add in all kinds of stuff in here. I could make custom hexes. I can make custom icons. I can make vehicles. I can make foes. I can make equipment. I can do all this stuff. So if you're someone who's coming from a VTT, or you through Kickstarter or Patreon, or have downloaded assets on itch or wherever, you can take all that stuff and put it in here and then not use the generic ones. So the limitation, the kind of generic style, yeah, it is not as interesting. But I think the flip side of that is it is immediately useful, and that's another thing that sometimes with, say, Hex Kit, it's like things can get too weird. Where I'm thinking I don't want it that weird. I want something that's just kind of plain. Worldographer doesn't have that problem. Worldographer stuff is very generic and kind of plain in its own way, but I like it because it doesn't leave me thinking like, but I don't want this to look like some kind of weird Alice in Wonderland twisted thing. I just want some woods and some things. I you know, the weird will come in from different things, different areas. And remember, this is all just a representation. You know, it's the how weird or not weird this is going to be. I mean, to me, has very little to do with this. These are all just representations. There's icons, and you can add in your own icons. Brian, you're a good artist. You could create. Heck, you could create for all of us. Create a community zip file full of strange and odd icons for stuff, and then we can fold it in and bring out the weirdness. But I don't mind it. I don't mind it being generic to start with, because for me that means it's going to be the most useful off the bat. Sometimes things get too weird and it's like, oh, it's cool, but now the usability for me has gone down. It's like I'm gonna have to I guess I say is, to me it's a lot easier to add in some weirdness that I want than to have to unweird things or de-weird things, or you can't, or whatever, when it's gone too far the other way. The thing is that I would like, I'm thinking now, and I have to keep in mind, I have no experience. I have very limited idea of what all the tools are. But what I would like is, we got map settings. Can we add grids in here? Drawings, go. Oh, we can move these around. Add, edit hexes. All. Hint, add a tile to the current map. Well, what is choose vegetation? See, I have to go with the user library. I'll have to mess around with that user library stuff. And I don't know if you can add in. It doesn't look like I can add layers, because that might be the other nice thing is, could I add layers for things like roads and water? Because then you could do the hex kit trick of creating hexes with your water stuff on it or your roads and layer it on top. What happens if I turn that off? Oh, woo. But it's cool. So I think there's definitely room for stuff. And like I said, I don't have a sense of what I can do, what I can get. So we've got modules. I've got the modules. So all this stuff, say I could turn off. You could turn off some of these. I've got, could turn off Iron Sworn. So if you wanted to go off, I could turn this off. And I guess that's the user. Again, we're in the user library part. Okay. I'm going to have to figure out what I need, what I think is best. I'm going to have to dig around. See, maybe I'll try to, I think what I'll do is for the next one of these, I will try to put together a little user library of stuff. We can see how easy it is or hard it is to kind of get them in. I'll have to prepare, maybe I'll prepare some assets or grab some from somewhere, and I'll have to do a little reading in the documentation, or I don't know if there, I don't see any help here. Is there help here? So I don't know. There's the quick start, which we went through. We did modules. I got, yeah, so I'll have to do some figuring. Brian says, I usually run out of steam when I'm drawing stuff I know are just assets. Like I can't always motivate myself to draw 10 types of trees and make them interesting. Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, it's the same. I think it's the same thing. And I think, Brian, that's why a lot of times I recommend starting small, because it's the same thing with anything, whether you're drawing trees, whether you're describing forest or grasslands, anything you do, when you have to do a bunch of them, it's a chore. When you just have to do a couple, it's easier, because you probably only have at hand inspiration for a few things at a time. So you do those few things, then you're not trying to drag yourself through the rest. You've just done it. And I think that's the same reason, like yesterday, I remember struggling a bit with the last couple of weapons when I was doing 6 weapons for Sword Timber at once, just because I feel like there's a sweet spot of the first 1 or 2. It's like you're getting in the groove. Then the next 2 or 3, it's like, oh yeah. And then I felt like the last one, I was just kind of, or 1.5, I was just sort of like, now I'm sort of, my creativity's drying up there. I need to recharge it. Then today I just did 1, and I was just like, okay, like I got this. It took me a minute to think about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm on it. And then I'm done. And I think the same thing, whether you're drawing trees, whether you're describing things, you're adding it, if you can stick to just doing at a stretch, doing, 6 at once, and then, doing like 3 or 4 as you just kind of keep fleshing it out, your everything, your inspiration, your mind, your creativity will be fresher. But I am super pleased with this so far. I got to learn its quirks. It's going to have quirks. It's going to have limits. And I don't know if some of this is just because it's browser-based. I mean, browsers now can do crazy amount of stuff. So it's fascinating that we can run something of this complexity in the browser. I wonder if they would consider putting it in some kind of app form to just allow for higher performance and offline and whatever. Because I don't know how. I mean, you can, and I definitely recommend. I think it's Squoosh. You can Google search for it, SQUOOSH, but it's an image compression tool, so you can get images really small. So that 500 megabytes that they give you in terms of your asset library seems kind of paltry, but as much as you can shrink things down and compress them, you can get oodles and oodles of things in here. This is plenty. Maybe if you have just uncompressed, not very well optimized images and stuff, you might look at this and say not enough. But all those multiple megabyte images you have, you should be able to compress those down and use Squoosh, which you can use online. It's browser based. Super easy to get things down really small. So I wouldn't worry about that. I think the things that I'm really curious about, which I'll have to save for next time because we're already at the hour basically. So for next time, what I'm going to look at is how easy is it to get my own rule set in here, and how much of that rule set can I really embed in these things? So if I'm using BX, for example, or OD&D, how easy is it to kind of get the system in there? What does it allow me to tweak? What kind of does it have hooks that I can kind of do? Like, what does that look like? Or is it mostly going to be just limited to essentially your die roller? But it's nice to have a die roller, that kind of thing. And then I don't have any like I said, I don't have a bunch of assets lying around, so I don't have a whole bunch of stuff to throw in there and see how managing that works. But maybe I'll see if I can find some free packs. I don't see any guidance in here over sizing or what format they need to be in here. These definitely seem like rasters, so I'm going to guess that all of these things are some flavor of PNG. At least these, maybe not that. I don't know what about the hexes, but certainly these that have transparencies, I'm guessing are PNGs. Maybe I can grab some, just download some from the sources on the web, free packs and whatnot, things that people have given away, and then we could see about loading them in and replacing or making a new map with that stuff in it. And then I'm not sure where we'll go from there. I feel like adding in the system and what other kind of mechanical things we want to do will be a big thing. But I mean, this gives you a lot, right? Because you can have, in terms of the GM, as a GM, I don't know, you could probably do some kind of, it seems like it's not a VTT in terms of having all your characters have access to this. You'd probably have to share screens. I don't know if there's a way to share. Probably something I just don't know about. But in terms of the GM, there you go. You can easily theater the mind with your players. And, the Witterson says, all right, I come in here and I'm going to take the door and I'm going to stand in the doorway. Whoops. All right, bam, done. Somebody else comes in, does other things. I have some monster icons. I could pull them in. So at least, even if I'm not sharing this, if I'm running Theater of the Mind, which I usually am, for instance, pronouns are squee and squoosh, maybe. You could certainly run this. Or maybe there is a way, I just haven't seen it yet, to have other folks log in. But just from just running the game perspective, I could share my screen on something like Discord and I could have this, and people could just tell me where they go, and I could put them. Ian says, just sure you can use WebP images too. Oh, I will have to try that. That's what I'll do, Ian. When I come back, I'll do assets. And I like using WebPs. Like on my forum images, I usually optimize everything down to WebPs because they can really, even more than JPEGs, you can really squeeze them down. So that would be nice. But not everything is compatible with them. And I think I remember being a little bit bummed out because I was I wanted to bring in a photo into, I was using DaVinci Resolve doing a video, and there was like the web, it's not WebP but there's like another sort of web optimized video format, and DaVinci wouldn't open it. And I had to go to Handbrake, have Handbrake converted to an MPEG-4 and then pull it in, which just seemed to be irritating why DaVinci doesn't have support for something that seemed kind of silly. So yeah, I'll definitely check for, we'll have to do some tests with WebP and all that stuff. Brian says, nice tool for solo streaming or whatever if you just need a nice visual. Absolutely. And I don't think I would limit it to just, I think obviously with Ironsworn, they're definitely making a play for running it solo, but I would totally run this with my party. Load my map in here. I can place them on the map. I can do whatever. I could share this screen if I want to. I totally would. I mean, the only thing from the standpoint, I mean, I guess it really depends what other VTT you have. So for me, I don't have another VTT. I'm using my game. It's Theater of the Mind plus Discord. Discord's just for visuals, the video chatting, and we have a dice bot in there to roll dice. I don't use it for anything else. So not using a VTT, if I could put in my mechanics and have stuff, I would totally use this stuff just for me. And then maybe I could, the other thing would be in here is, could I have assets or just images if I wanted to show an image, like a vista, like just a pic, not a map, but just an image. Like I want to show an asset, like, look here, you see this thing, it's a beautiful sunset, so I'm going to show you some sunset. Then I would do that. I'm not sure yet about that, or if they all have to be maps, or if I could just show just an image, like a atmospheric image. I tried Owlbear Rodeo. I looked at Owlbear Rodeo a little while back, and it's fine. There's some stuff it does that I don't. It's so Owlbear Rodeo, if I'm remembering correctly, seemed very focused on tactical battle maps and that part of it. Now it does have you can log in, right? It has the VTT element of it, but it didn't have some other things I think I liked. I think if I was to, for my usage, I liked Roll a bit better than Owlbear Rodeo because Roll matched up better with what I'm looking for than Owlbear Rodeo. So I haven't played with Owlbear Rodeo 2.0. I don't know if that's out yet or what they're doing. That I haven't played with the newest version. I just played with the older version, so I don't know what changes there have been. And I think that one, that one's a subscription model, I think. So I'm not sure. This one to me seems closer to Roll with some of what it's offering, but it has more automations of things than Roll does. Where Roll, it's BYOA, bring your own assets, whereas this has a lot of stuff that you can generate for you, which I don't think Owlbear Rodeo does either, right? Because this has generative features that those don't. Now, maybe someone could correct me if Owlbear Rodeo does have features like that, but I don't think it does. I think you have to paint everything on or import an image or do something like this. This can give it to you. As we went through when we created this map, I tweaked it, but you can just generate this whole map with the names, with a couple of notable people on there, all that stuff for you. So if you're entering in and suddenly you need something or you're starting out, you can do that. I don't think Owlbear Rodeo and Roll for sure doesn't do it. Yeah, Owlbear Rodeo, as Iron Man says, it's a battle map solution. Right, it does. But this gives you some different tools. So I would say if I had to pick, say, Roll or Owlbear Rodeo, I'd probably place this closer to Roll, but neither Owlbear Rodeo nor Roll have generative stuff. This is also a one-time fee. It's, as far as I know, there's not a subscription model. I think there's a Patreon, and I think you get more ChatGPT credits if you are a patron, because that does have an ongoing cost for them. I think I read that somewhere. Could be wrong about that, but other than that, it's you pay once and it's free and clear. It is browser-based, so there's no app to download, which also means, I suppose, if you're on a long-term perspective, we don't know what's going to happen in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So keep that in mind. It would be nice if maybe they had an app you could download and just use offline if you don't need to have the network. You don't need to have multiple devices. If you don't, whatever, you just want to have it on your computer. It'd be nice if they had that option, and that might give a little bit of a reassurance so that if they disappeared tomorrow, you still have your app. But on the other flip side, the browser based, which is like Owlbear Rodeo and like Roll, does mean that you can kind of play anywhere or on anything as long as you have an internet connection. So like I said, I'm super pleased about it. It's got some quirks. It's got some things we got to deal with. We got to figure out the best way to do some things. I threw in this road. It'd be nice if I could make it something a little bit more artsy-fartsy than that. We'll have to see, have to plan that out. Maybe you need to do something with either transparencies, or maybe you just have to make multiple versions of roads through different biomes so that you get the kind of road feature you want. I'm not sure. There's some stuff to be figured, but there's a lot of cool stuff. And certainly if you don't need the connectivity, if you're using solo play, obviously that's great. If you're doing something like me, this might be the kind of one GM tool I use, and my players, I'm not surfacing it to my players, or at least not consistently, but I can through screen shares if I want to show them something. If I want to show them this map, maybe they've been through on here, or they're aware of it all. So I don't feel bad showing them, hey, you're in Salt Marsh, and whatever, then great. So this was definitely a first look, just a fiddling, just getting my feet wet in the shallow end. I will do some investigations. I will come up with some more stuff to look onto this. But yeah, super excited for what this seems to deliver. It definitely feels like it is fitting in a nice, I guess. I do think there's a little bit of a gap there between some of the really slim and trim VTTs that are kind of bring your own everything, and versus the ones that are everything in the kitchen sink, your Fantasy Grounds, your Roll20s kind of thing. Maybe this is slotting in a little bit. Maybe it's not quite a VTT because it doesn't have the connectivity. I don't know what you would call it, just a tool. But it's very cool. And thanks again to Augur Studios for allowing me to get kind of unfettered access. And I also do want to check out the space stuff because it does have sci-fi elements as well. There's a lot to go over. This is just the beginning. We have not yet begun to create our games, but this is super cool. Any last stuff before I close it up? Take one more sip of soda. Other than that, folks, I guess that's it. Game on, everybody. I will talk to you later. Bye now.